Aditya Narayan is joining us now, Head of Research Institutional Equities at Edelweiss. Aditya, good morning. Thanks much for joining us. Don't think too many people would have thought that as early as July, if you had looked at the market in March, we would be within 10% of an all-time high. Do you think it's time to perhaps look at that as a possibility? What would be your thoughts right now on the current market scene, and what would be your view?
Yeah, no, it's obviously had a very, very aggressive run, and as you mentioned, very few people would have envisaged the market at this level. I think a combination of things have happened. One, obviously, there has been a serious amount of global monetary support, and global markets have been strong. The second thing is that the economy does seem to have moved on to the supply improving kind of side. So I think those numbers have tended to be reasonably impressive, right? And I think the third thing, which is very important, is the fact that the corporate sector has adjusted very, very rapidly. So whether it is the way they've looked at costs or whether the way they've reoriented the way they're doing business, I think that has been actually impressive and a little ahead of expectations. So I think that's, a combination of this has probably got you some of this extra tailwind that you got, or the upfronting of the market as you see at this point in time. Now, as you stand today, how should one look at it? I would suspect the supply side has come through very well. I think some of the structural changes that this has kind of pushed forth, that has come through very well. But I do think the risks effectively lie in demand. And I think that might be just a little slower coming at the broader level. Demand might see a shift in its shape. And I think that's what you need to watch out for and look out for. So to some extent at this level, I would be a little cautious on the markets, because I think demand has to catch up with supply. Demand has to catch up with the changed way the economy is working. And that's where you could have a little bit of a gap.
Okay, good morning, Aditya. But this liquidity train won't wait for us. If you have to ride it and get the advantage of a 12,000 or whatever, even if it is not justified by certain parts of the economy, the HDFC Bank train may run away and the Britannia train may run away. So will you hop into any even now? IT stocks, bank stocks?
Yeah, so I think that the and we wouldn't call it a trade, but the fundamental shift that we are particularly comfortable with is really the IT one, and we spoke with you last time, we mentioned the same. There is a very distinct and a very defined structural change, and I think that's one one trade, as it were, or one wave, as it were, that one should continue to follow. I think the second one is the agri side, where you've also seen a fair amount of momentum, even as it is fundamentally a smaller space. There I would say it's not necessarily such a big structural shift, but it is clearly there is cyclical tailwind, and that is something that's going to sustain, right? As far as the banks are concerned, we'd be more neutral to a little negative, because I think what you're getting are the gains of easier liquidity, of a certain amount of stabilization. The pains of asset quality you can't see at this point in time, and it's not as if they're there and you can't see them, but it's very hard to figure out what's effectively happening there. And I think that's where I think there will tend to be a little bit more leveling. So if I were to play, as you said, stay on with the liquidity side, I think the IT space is clearly one place to play in. From a bank's perspective, the quality ones, I would still say risk adjusted would probably be the better places to stay. If someone has a call that, you've seen through the worst of the underlying economic challenge, and demand shifts are going to be modest on the way down, then I think you can take on a little bit more risk with individual banks, because that is where you will continue to have a certain amount of beta, because that's where there has to be a fair amount of catch up. So if you actually look at Indian banks vis-a-vis, say, the US banks, it's actually a very similar story. The US banks have also bounced from their lows. They've had a certain amount of momentum, but they're distinctly off their 3-month, 4-month highs, unlike the rest of the market, which has caught up. And I think India is in a similar situation, other than the fact that the underlying asset quality challenge could be a little greater because of the starting point and also the extent of the lockdown.
Okay. Well, I wanted to ask you about the tendency of NBFCs. We can't call it tendency. There's only one at the moment. MMFSL coming in with such a steep discount so as to grab capital at whatever price you get. They are calling it rewarding shareholders, but it's quite clearly wanting to take capital at any price. Do you think now more NBFC, yesterday we saw fairly broad-based NBFC rally because of this, expecting that others will jump onto this bandwagon. You see, some positivity here, that they're using the opportunity well, and therefore would you also look at, down the line financial stocks, NBFCs?
Yeah, so I think the fact that you should raise capital and cushion yourself, I think that is a good approach, right? So I think that ticks that box. I think by pricing a rights at a distinct discount to the underlying, I think that's also a good approach. I'm not sure why the market has been so worried about the fact that it's a large discount, because you're not diluting an existing shareholder, right? You could have done that same offering at a much higher price level, so you would have been raising more capital. But by giving it equally, you're not diluting a shareholder from his ownership, and to some extent, you're measuring the amount of capital that you're taking. So I think it is a good approach. I think in India, you've just not had enough rights issues that have come through. If the outlook generally from a medium term is good, I think rights is a very decent way to go about it, simply because you give the first option to the guy who's been there for a while. So that's one bit. In terms of whether I would expect more such raises to come through, I clearly think it would. To be honest, it's also a very safe way of doing a raise, right? While your headline price might come off, the reality is with a big discount, the existing guy is incentivized to some extent, is forced to come into it, or at least there's a price on his renunciation which the market is now allowing for. So I think it's actually a good trend.
Okay. Aditya, hi, good morning. I was actually going through your recent note, and it's interesting, you say that you've curated a list of 15 stocks that investors should own at this point and 5 that you would be better off avoiding. So in those 15 stocks, you have a lot of auto names. There's Bharat Forge, there's Eicher Motors, there's Tata Motors. I want to understand why you've picked these and you're choosing to avoid Maruti. What is the rationale here?
Yeah, so I think two things. One, of course, this was a little time back, so I think some of these have actually tended to play through fairly well. I think the second thing is that for each of these stocks, we fundamentally have a call. One, on the Bharat Forge, it is that the global cycle will probably do much better. In terms of Eicher, we made a very distinct call that the risks to demand lie more at the lower end rather than the upper end segments, right? So that's a very distinct way of effectively looking at it. And again, Tata Motors was really about the fact that we see the global recovery being stronger simply because the economic measures put in by various governments have been actually much more aggressive, right? We're a little bit more cautious as far as Maruti is concerned, for the simple reason that we think the lowest end of the downtrending that you will see will mean people effectively go into the second-hand car market rather than the entry segment as far as cars are concerned. So I think given the fact that the stock had done well, given the fact that we think the downtrending is going to be of a different nature rather than the expectation that everyone will buy the new but cheaper cars, that's where we see a little bit of a disconnect and an opportunity as far as stock performances are concerned. And to some extent, since that note was written, I think you have had that relative performance come through.
Oh yes. By the way, M&M Finance is up another 2.4%. So despite all the worries, the stock has been remarkably strong yesterday as well and today as well. But the stock of the moment really is ACC, and this is where the market positioning perhaps comes in. Good numbers and the stock's just flying through right now. Aditya, thoughts on cement? Because of course it's not cheap as it was say about 3 months back. It has had a rally, but names like ACC, Ambuja, Ultratech, would you be buying any of these?
Yeah, so we are generally running a kind of neutral stance as far as cement is concerned. What we like about the entire thing is that the cost side is actually fundamentally doing very well, and that's what has played through as far as this result is concerned. Both the cost and to some extent the pricing, which is giving you really this big EBITDA jump, right? I think the challenge with it, and that's why we wouldn't necessarily tail it very aggressively given the performance that you've actually seen from here, is the fact that some of the demand that could have come through for this space could well have been just pent up demand, right? You're getting into a lean season as far as construction is concerned, and stronger rains will mean potentially even more pain. And I think we need to wait out to see what the structural demand shift down has happened only in the quarter beyond, right? So we'll be neutral. We think the cost sides are actually, cost and pricing side is actually pretty well balanced, but between a certain amount of stock performance and just a little bit more wariness in terms of what the demand impact would be, we won't be very aggressive in this space.
Okay, actually this morning we have a new theory from Credit Suisse saying that COVID is now spreading away from urban areas to tier 3, tier 4 and rural areas, and therefore the rural dependent stocks may now lose a bit of their sheen. You agree?
I wouldn't fully agree on that. I think for the next 3 to 6 months, between the way the rains have been, between the fact that fundamentally there's been less disruption, and the fact that there's been a movement of people back, and the government concessions have all come in largely to the rural areas, right? So to some extent, while if COVID does go into those areas more aggressively, there can be a little bit of a step back. I would tend to believe for the next 3 to 6 months, there is a certain amount of tailwind there, right? Will this necessarily play through into the next year? And that's why initially I had said that it's a little bit more cyclical than necessarily structural, because a lot of these are cyclical elements. So to that extent, the spread of COVID, rural is very, very vast. The gaps are more, the shutdowns are less extreme. The activity is not based on factories. So to that extent, I wouldn't be that wary of this, unless it were to be a huge blowout, which quite honestly, I don't think it is looking to be the case at this point in time. So I'd still say the fact that nearer term, that's an area which just has tailwind of people, of the rains, of government money coming in, and fundamentally less disruption than what you've seen in the urban areas.
I was going through your top mid-cap buys as well. It's interesting you have PVR as your top buy there. Wouldn't you be concerned about the fact that A, there is no timeline on when theatres would open, and B, one doesn't know what the kind of damage would be on their profitability before things recover?
Yeah, so I think just on that, since we did that note, the stock went up a little bit, and we did downgrade it to a hold, given some of this uncertainty that is effectively happening at this point in time. So yeah, at this point in time, I think the uncertainty is high. But do remember that, cinemas could be a little bit like what autos were. In April, they looked very, very poor because there was a complete shutdown and no one was buying, and there were lots of concerns on what would happen to structural demand, right? Movies are similar. Obviously, the last quarter has been a write-off. This quarter will tend to be a write-off, and I would be surprised if the third quarter is great. But I think for the bigger guys, the guys at the top, I don't think the business is necessarily fundamentally going away. But that said, I think the stock's already had its move, so at this point in time, we'd just be a little bit more middle of the road and a hold on it.
Okay. Well, Aditya, it's always a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you very much indeed for joining us with your thoughts on the market. You're probably a good luck charm. The markets today are in an extremely exhilarated mood for the bulls. About 1.3% higher, and the Nifty is reaching out to 11,160. Bank Nifty reaching out to 22,700 plus, 750 almost. That's almost a 2% in terms of gains. And with that, we will revisit